2020.
I remember telling these girls, maybe it was Roswell, the end of the world video. I don't know, but I told them because they were calling in at the 1st of April or something, but I told them to wait till May 15th. It was about 6 weeks. I don't know. I didn't know. Okay, let me tell Karen. Karen, I'm a psychic channel. Okay, I'm like a psychic medium. I used to learn this channel.
No, you just have a lot of ET. You just have a lot of ET energy going through you right now, and it's really jubilant and wonderful, and it's excited, and we're all kind of like on a high, and they're just loving it.
Yeah, that's what I get.
They're just putting the little puzzles together, and they're loving
Janet. But sometimes
Janet.
they won't let me.
Well, that's because
sometimes they won't let me.
I think we don't let ourselves because I think the human part of us, and I know it's this way with me, is that, I could tell a lot. But, I don't want people in the conventional realm to think that, I'm real weird, and I think we all are like that. And I try to work on that. I've done all my family of origin on the earth plane. I've done it on the other planes. I've done it in my Akashic records. But this part of my earth self goes, my goodness, I can't be just too weird. People, the mass public, don't understand it. They think we're all nuts. They don't, and then they get to where they don't respect us. I don't care if anybody thinks I'm nuts or not, but I would like some respect because I've worked hard in this field for all my life, just like Janet has and you have. And that's what we want. We just want to be respected and, not treated like idiots. That's what it is. And it makes us a little...
I coined it Ascension Age on my show, but Janet put up UFO Secret Space, but she's more out than I am. But that's okay. I've got the UFO Secret Space group on Facebook.
When is your birthday, TJ?
The day after Christmas.
Oh, you're a Capricorn.
51.
Yeah. Well, you're my age.
51.
Yeah. So I'm a Sagittarius. I'm on the 19th, and I was born in 50. So we're all about the same age.
Right. Nice.
Yeah, you were here before I got here.
But I tried coming in 2 years earlier, and my mother aborted me. She miscarried me, but she didn't treat me. So I knew I had to come in time to be at a decent age to meet Sasha, because he's 14 years older than me, but it was going to be 12 years older than me. But I remember, so that's why my mother was freaked out, because she knew who I was. She had taken me out, and my mother tried to kill me 8 times. So I've had 8 near-death experiences at the hand of my mother. But I just kept coming back. And the time I was choked, when I was 7, she choked me when I was 4. I was orally raped. It was really horrendous. And this is what they do. They switch through the altars. And I was on the other side. And my guides came and said, well, do you want to stay dead? And so I'm watching, like on 3 cameras running around, and I'm seeing everything. The sweat, everybody's yelling, sweat off their brow. There was all this fighting going on because my mother was beating up the guy who had raped me, and they called the neighbor in because they were so upset, and they tried to revive me with some kind of, I don't know if I knew CPR back in the 50s, but I was 4 years old, so I was born 54, so I was 58. Anyway, while that was going on, the guide said, well, do you want to stay here? And they showed me timelines. And they said, if you stayed here, this happened. So in one timeline, my mother went to jail. In another timeline, my father got so upset he killed this guy. His name is Harry. And then another one, my older brother was so distraught because nobody ever, what do I want to say? He couldn't get over the death of his baby sister, right? And the same thing with my sister. She ended up so distraught. So they showed me 4 major timelines which were not favorable for my family. And I said to them, okay, well, I can't do that to those people. I need to come back in. So they said, well, here's how you fix your neck. Your neck is broken. You need to fix your neck before you come back into the body. You can't re-enter it when it's damaged like that. So they showed me how to fix my body. And they had been trying to revive me, but they gave up. And so they they said, okay, we're going to go call the police and you guys have to turn yourself in. She's dead, and she's not coming back. So they were starting to leave the room, and that's when I decided to come back. And so my body was on the floor. It was kind of twisted. I was face down. My hair was all ruffled. But as soon as the energy came into the body, I jumped right up, and I threw my hands up, and I literally glowed like Jesus Christ, right? And I said, hi, because I was full of the love of God and the universe and consciousness, and I was an enlightened being, and it's like I had total forgiveness, and nothing was wrong. Everything was divine perfection. And they turned around and saw me glowing like some kind of little E.T., and they screamed, and they ran out the door. And I said, oh, cool, I made the adults run away. And then I felt really tired because the energy of that vibratory frequency was way higher than 3D Earth. And so I started to really integrate into the body and had been through trauma. So this all happened in my bedroom. I had this really big room across the front, and they gave it to baby Janet because nobody wanted to be in the haunted room. And it was very haunted, and I had to deal with that on my childhood. But I was so tired from adjusting the energy, I crawled into bed, and I forgot about it. It's called the kune. But I could never have oral sex, so I knew there was something else. Like, what? No. I knew there was something hidden in my deep subconscious. So, I couldn't have oral sex with my husband. So that was a problem. His husbands want you to do something like that, right? So that created a lot of drama in my life. But here I am, and so that was not the first time I saw the timeline. So when I was 4, before this episode, so that was probably in like August of that year, in the spring, when the buttercups and the little spring flowers were just starting to form, I was picking flowers for my mother in the side yard. So in the 50s, you could let your little kid outside and you could keep an ear on them, but nothing would happen. I was in my own yard. And I started understanding the concept of God, but that was because I was having constant experiences with extraterrestrials. So I called them gods. Right? I didn't know. I was trying to integrate what was going on in my human life with what was happening as an experiencer. So I was just singing songs to God, and I picked some flowers, and as soon as I came around the bend and I was going to go into the house, there was a little tiny 1-foot tall fence there because my mom was trying to keep people from walking on her garden. And I stepped over it, and mid-step, they took me up on a mothership. So there was no, being disappearing in front of me. They just beamed me up. So, or not even really, it wasn't like the transportation and having to see the Earth retract. It was just, just like in Star Trek. They wanted me, they beamed, I was on board the ship. And so they gave me like a tour of the ship. They welcomed me back, so I was part of them, and they took me into a theater. But they were very sensitive about the human form that I had agreed to incarnate in. So they took me into the theater, and then they made it something that I could understand. It was like and I had never been in the movie theater, right? But, I understood chairs and all that stuff. So I'll talk that. They wanted me to sit in the front row in the center, so I did. And as soon as I was comfortable, this large screen, started to show these images of the 24 potential future history timelines that would happen that were kind of variations on this theme that we have right now. So the first one showed the total destruction of the planet. It blew up. And then the next one was slightly better, and there were 24. So it went from the worst scenario to the best scenario. And we're experiencing this potentiality right now. When they were showing it, it was more than showing it. There was an image on the screen, but there was everything in my mind, like you're seeing right now. But it was also essential, so I could smell it. I could see everything happening simultaneously across the planet. I'm not sure how it is. It's like if you were God, you could see all the existence all at once. But humans were separately. We can kind of only see linearly, or one at a time, or a small range. But I was able to see it all, comprehend it all, and feel it all. So I was weeping by the time it was over. And then they showed me utopian ones. They said, which one do you want? the theater went dark, and then which one do you want to choose? And what they were saying is I was choosing for all humanity. And then since I'm human, I went, what? No, I can't choose for all humanity. Well, just choose one. So I chose third one from the utopian and continuum part, and there's a continuum, and it was so it would leave enough left to do, right? As soon as I made the choice, I was once again back in my body, and I was finishing the step. Now, when I took my first step, it was high noon. The sun was really bright. It was straight up. When I put them down, when they returned me, big step, they returned me, the sun was setting, and the sky was just full of these tremendous colors. And then they said, and this is what they do. They say you have come here to do something which would benefit all of mankind, all of humankind. That's what they use, humankind. And I felt such joy, in relation that my life had been in purpose. So, but then as I started to walk in the house, we returned with people who I told my family. I said, I realized that I can't tell these people anything because they'll react negatively. They won't get it. So I didn't tell them, but I never, ever, ever forgot. So that was not blanked out in any way, shape, or form. So
Hello.
I just want to say one thing. In '63, when they did the Montauk, the 20-year anniversary of the Montauk, or the Philadelphia experiment, when they were in Montauk, the timeline got changed. So we were on a real positive timeline from 58 to 63. And then they hijacked it. And then that shortly after Kennedy was shot, then we were on the timeline, but the other Kennedy was shot, Martin Luther got. So we're about like a hijacked timeline. Okay, whoever wants to take this, I'm passing the docking stick. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I was seeing a beautiful, fabulously interesting thing. That's what I see from the third dimension, beyond the third dimension. Thanks for sharing that.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Do you have a question or comment, either of you? Either of you any questions or comments? TJ, you started to say something, right? Or was that Karen?
Well, Karen was talking just now.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we're all here, Janet. And I get you, Janet, I know because I've known you longer than anybody that I can talk to. But, Janet and Karen, what it is she and I were contractors, but I was wearing a uniform and she wasn't. But we met at a psychic fair, but we also met at Spiritual World Network the Sunday before. And anyway, she was with a guy, but we met a long time ago in Hawaii. It's no coincidence, but we don't like the word Stargate because we weren't working with Russell Targ and all the famous people from the Brookings Institute, or the way that the government made them seem. Who was it? What was that other guy that Tommy worked with? The guy that bent spoons and all that stuff. Well, they took it
Yuri
public.
Geller?
When the government,
Yuri Geller.
That's who David worked with. Yeah.
Now, see, David, you said that my brother's name was David.
David St. Clair was he was a real author. I met him when Robert and I separated in 1976. And we did research in all these countries. He was a time and life reporter, and he lived in Brazil for 20 years, and he worked for their sister company called Manchetti. And then he became a published author, and he was president of the Parapsychological Research Society in Los Angeles back in the 60s. And he has a big book out now that everybody has. It's really, all of his books are really old. It's called Instant ESP. So, he may be so old when we're all the good guys, we're all the old timers, people don't even know who they are anymore. But he has a lot of his books in Library of Congress, and I have his page. Excuse me. I have his page tied to my website and my thing, so you can read about him. So I don't know how we started talking about him, but I think
Yuri Geller.
Oh yeah, Uri Geller. He was at a dinner party with Uri when he lived in London, and he had dual citizenship with England and the United States.